to another Up Your Brave live stream interview. Today I'm talking to Chris Bello. He's all the way from Houston, Texas, I believe.
Yep.
And Chris is going to share with us 5 productivity hacks. So excited. Welcome, Chris. So happy to have you.
Thank you, Natalie. It's so great to be here.
I had the honor of being on Chris's podcast just yesterday. It's not published yet, but if you guys are an entrepreneur, definitely check it out. Chris is from the Entrepreneur's Motivation Podcast. And what entrepreneur does not need motivation, right? Everybody.
We need daily motivation, sometimes multiple times a day.
So, hey, Chris, I'm going to read a little bit of backstory on you, and then I'll throw it over to you to kind of elaborate on that. If you guys are watching us live or you're watching the replay, please go ahead. Let us know where you are geographically. And if you have any questions about productivity, you can start popping them in the chat, and whether we can come back later or we can answer them live, depending. So let us know where you are. And if you've got any questions about productivity and how to really get that productivity working, whether you're at home, whether you are back in the office or wherever you are, then comment in the chat box. All right, let me tell you about Chris. Chris Bello is a dreamer, but more importantly, he's a doer, which I love. I'm all about the action. As many entrepreneurial stories go, he went to the traditional route of going to college, getting a degree, landing a good corporate job. A few years in, he realized that he wanted more out of his life. Love it. He wanted financial freedom, but more importantly, he wanted time freedom. He put his 2 weeks notice in, booked a month-long trip to Asia to figure things out. And after returning and going through one side hustle failure to the next, I'd love to hear about that, Chris hit his stride with real estate, where he's continued to scale and close 4- and 5-figure deals. In his free time, Chris enjoys exercising, podcasting, and traveling when he's able to. And we're going to share later on something else that's really cool about Chris, but I'm going to save it for later. So, hey, Chris, I love that. I love that. First of all, you upped your brave. You had the guts to dive in and let go of that corporate career because it wasn't fulfilling you.
Right.
So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that whole journey and your backstory. And now you're so successful in real estate, which actually doesn't surprise me. After you interviewing me and everyone who watches today, you'll just get the vibe. Like, Chris is such a cool, friendly, honest, genuine, awesome guy. So welcome.
Thank you so much. It's really great to be here, and I appreciate the kind words.
Give us a bit of backstory. Tell us a little bit more about your journey. I'm going to settle in.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, is there a question or do I just jump right into it? But yeah, I shared this on my podcast recently. I finally got a therapist recently just to talk through things and like ask myself questions that, I don't think to ask myself. And so it's interesting to share things that I'm thinking and then have someone say, why do you think you do that? And, so I've been introspective a lot lately. But what I was explaining to her is that I kind of went through the matrix in a way where I was just plugged into the system. I went to school because my parents told me to go to this school, and then I went to Catholic school, and I went to an all-boys private high school, got my college degree. I always was like, okay, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do, right? All my friends are going to this school. Let me apply there. Got my degree. There were so many times I remember being there at the library late at night. In the winter, it would be, it's not that cold in Texas, but it was cold for me, right? And everyone's like, Texas, it's not even that cold. And there were times where I was just like, is this what I'm really supposed to be doing? I don't know if I'm smart enough to do this. My friends aren't studying as much. They're getting better grades. But I pushed through. I persevered. Got my college degree, got a dream job. I remember I was so excited. I got this job that was just like paying double what a lot of my friends were making. And 3 years in, I was like, this doesn't seem so much like a dream. It seems more like a nightmare. I dreaded waking up every day. The alarm would go off and I could remember just being like, I don't want to sit in this meeting. I don't want to be there. I don't want to make this commute. And of course I quit the job. I had side hustle failure after side hustle failure. Many people struggle with shiny object syndrome, right? I was trying to sell stuff from garage sales and write an ebook, and I went through one funnel away.
You're selling stuff from garage sales.
Gary V, yes. You listen to all the entrepreneur stuff, and then you're just overwhelmed. There's so much endless information, and I hustled, but I wasn't focused. And I think the productivity hacks, which I'm going to share today, have really helped me. And people are like, man, you're so productive, Chris. You're so organized. And I'm like, let me tell you, when I first quit my job, I was not. And that's why I was not successful with anything for a while. And I make myself be disciplined, because without it, I would be all over the place.
Great. I'm so excited to dive into some of these productivity hacks. Real estate is interesting. I remember saying to my dad, if I can't make this go-to girl business work, okay, fine, then I'll do real estate. Because I knew I'd be good at it because I love people and whatever. But for now, I'm all good with my business. But it's great that you found something you loved. And it's so great that you had the courage to leave behind what wasn't working for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so we can definitely dive into the productivity hacks. Or do you want me to talk anything else about the story or any questions that stood out so far?
Let's go into at least one hack, and you can always weave more story in if it's relevant.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Perfect. So, and I never had any of these things in corporate America. I just did what I was told. Now I'm reading a book called Essentialism, which talks about, hey, you can push back to your manager and let them know you've got different priorities. You've got to prioritize what's at the top of the list. So my first hack is actually to learn during downtime by listening to podcasts and audiobooks. I remember I'd heard about podcasts and I kind of listened to Serial, I think was the first one. That one's pretty popular. Story about like a serial killer. Is he guilty? Is he innocent? And I got into the podcast space from there, and I was a little interested, but then I found podcasts like How I Built This and different entrepreneurs, the Gary Vee audio experience, and I got hooked. I stopped listening to music entirely almost at that point because many people who are still listening to music can probably relate that, you listen to this song. Oh, I love that song. I listened to it 500 times, but you could learn something new, especially if you're in a commute or if you're on the treadmill at the gym. I mean, you could turn that into a mobile university or treadmill university and learn for an hour a day. If you're working out 4 times a week, you're learning 4 hours a week that you previously were just listening to your favorite song for the 500th time. So that's my first hack for everyone listening now.
Love it. So if you guys are listening and you do listen to podcasts, go ahead and comment with one of your favorites. I love Pat Flynn,
Me too.
Smart Passive Income. So he's amazing. You and I are kind of entrepreneurial geeks. So we like the business ones.
We know all those ones, right?
I also love Rachel Hollis. She's got a podcast called Rise, and that's pretty cool as well. So yeah, you guys that are listening, go ahead, comment with one of your favorite podcasts. If you haven't yet gone into the world of podcasts, you can literally go to Spotify or where would they find your podcast, for example? How do you actually find it?
So if you go on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I'm trying to get them on every single podcast platform, but I think those ones are the biggest ones. And Apple Podcasts, I believe, still takes the cake. And Pat Flynn mentioned that. So, hey, if Pat said it, I believe it. I think he said Apple Podcasts is still the strongest podcast platform currently. But if you just type in Chris Bello or Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast, you should be able to find me. And I never realized how difficult entrepreneur is to spell until I named my podcast that. And I'm like, entrepreneur, right? So just type in Chris Bello, Bello, and you should be able to find me.
That's hilarious. All right. What's your second hack?
So my second hack, and I have so many endless hacks, but these are some of the foundation ones. And I actually came up with the idea for talking about this more because it was my most downloaded podcast episode. So I guess people are getting some value out of it. But my second hack is to carry a bag or a backpack with essentials at all times. And I know a lot of men may not have a purse or something, but I have a backpack, right? So I carry headphones that are Bluetooth and wireless. I don't have to be holding the phone. Every time I see someone holding the phone on a 20-minute conversation, I'm just like, you could be doing this hands-free and, walking around and not getting a crick in your neck. So I have Bluetooth headphones in my bag. I've got a portable charger in case I get stuck anywhere. If you got to drop your car off to do an oil change or something, you don't want to be stuck there without a phone battery and without these things that I'm mentioning in this bag, because then you fall victim to eating the crackers on the desk or the cookies that are out, or watching reruns of Maury or whatever, Jerry Springer, whatever's on TV. And I'm speaking on whatever they play over here in America. I know you're over in New Zealand, but I'm sure you've got a global audience. I also keep some healthy snacks with me. So if I get hungry, I can munch on some almonds or, some low-fat protein bar. And I carry a good book with me. So if anything happens, if I have to pull in somewhere, I can literally be there for 2 hours without being bored or anxious or feeling like I'm behind. I can get work done. I can be productive. I can even journal. And so that is my second hack, to carry a bag of essentials. So no matter where you get stuck or caught, you can just pull that bag out and start to get some work done or some brainstorming on your notepad.
I'm gonna sweep in on that one too. I love it. I'd call it your grab bag.
Yes.
And for me, I would have of course, essential oils in them, because you never know if you or someone else is going to need them. I actually interviewed someone last week. If you guys missed it, it was first aid for kids and babies. And so I interviewed him all about first aid. And then like 3 hours later, I'm at the park with my kids, and I hear this, "Mom, Xavier fell out of the tree." Like Xavier had fallen out of the tree.
Oh no.
I had a bag, but I didn't have like my first aid stuff in it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just interviewed this guy about first aid. So in your grab bag, in your essentials bag, make sure you have a medical or an emotional situation.
That's a really good plan. You know, I just went on a trip to Colorado with my girlfriend, and we went hiking, and the sun ended up going down. We had an hour of hiking through pitch black darkness. The funny part is we had a first aid kit, but it was at the Airbnb. I was like, okay, if we get mauled by a bear, I've got a Cliff Bar in my backpack, and that's it.
Yeah.
So that's a good tip that I need to add to my my hacks for sure.
All right. So what's the next one?
So the next hack is to outsource or delegate tasks that are not mission critical. And I've gotten very good at this lately, at least compared to where I've been personally. I always knew the idea of outsourcing, getting virtual assistants. For those in the audience who listened to or read the 4-Hour Workweek, Tim Ferriss talks about that. But when you hire a personal assistant, sometimes you don't really know what to give them, right? I'm like, hey, I found someone. Oh, what do I tell you to do now? You know, like, a lot of the things that I do it might take longer to tell her what to do than for me to just do them. So I'm finally finding my rhythm. I've got a team of people in place now. We just had a call, 3 separate virtual assistants. One of them reaches out to people for me and books me on other shows. Another edits my podcasts after I record them, tells me when they're ready to go. And then yet another creates the video thumbnails. Whereas for 2 years, I was kind of stuck in the grind, like, procrastinating, right? I was working in the podcast and business, not on it. And Sunday night would come along and I'm like, I got to release it by Monday, record it, edit it, make a thumbnail, put it on YouTube, share it on different platforms. And it just took 2 or 3 more hours than it should have, versus now I can just record it once and it gets done. And I mean, you can pay virtual assistants overseas for $5 or $10 an hour, $5 or $10 US an hour, versus what you would pay domestically. And they do a great job. That's a fair wage in their country. And so you're not really taking advantage of someone. You're helping them get additional, funds in their account for their families, while getting, a better price point, more affordable for the bootstrapping entrepreneur.
I love this tip. Okay, so this tip is one of those that's like we're all like, yeah, we know about delegating, but actually doing it, right? Actually doing it is the other thing, or outsourcing, if you want to call it that. And I'm the worst, because I'm one of those. I think when I had an American coach quite a few years ago, and she used to call me a high performing Lone Ranger. So she's like, because I was like, you know what? I'll just do it. You know what? I'll just do it. Which is, your strength in overdrive becomes your weakness, right? So
right.
For me, delegating is hard. Like I was doing a coaching session with one of my clients the other day. She was like, sometimes I get worried that this will be successful. And I get worried that, I'm going to have to hire staff and I'm going to do all these things. And I said, I never wanted staff. Like, I just don't want staff. I have 3 kids. I have a whole team of doTERRA people that I mentor. I have lots of clients. Like, I just didn't want staff, but I'm happy to outsource and to contract to people, which feels different to me than having staff, and which it is. And I love that you were mentioning about outsourcing to VAs or virtual assistants overseas. I recently hired someone to help me type up the script, from my UpYourBrave Livestream series, because I was like you, I'm like, I never got around to doing it. And whenever you see this energy, this is should zone energy. People that watch me know I love talking about the zones that people live in. And if you're in the should zone about anything, you guys, in your life or business, listen to Chris's advice and delegate.
And to give some ideas, I've been brainstorming more to myself, and, take the dog for a walk and just talk into my voice memo app, because it helps to talk through this to somebody. And if you don't have somebody with you right there, you can just talk into your voice memo, and it's almost as if you're talking to somebody. And I never really knew. And so now I'm outsourcing anything. Like you said, all those shoulds that I know I need to do that I've been putting off, now I can just add it to her list of to-dos. The endless list of to-dos I create for myself, I can send to her and pay her to do. And a perfect example of this is, I didn't even want to take the 5 minutes to log in and schedule a haircut appointment. I just told her, hey, can you please schedule an appointment? Find some time on my calendar in the afternoon when I'm free. And she's like, done, sir. It's this day, this time, set a 30-minute calendar invite. And okay, cool. I have a haircut on Sunday at 1 p.m. I don't have to worry about it.
Love it. That's so, so good. So we've got a couple comments coming in. I'm just going to go to those. Thank you, Vita.
Yeah.
Vita says she's suggesting the Love or Work podcast. So if you guys just joined us,
Okay.
we were asking what podcast you guys love. And we've got Justin James. Now, Justin is a great friend of mine, also in America. I'm actually super keen to connect you guys together.
Yeah.
He does YouTube stuff. You do podcasting. And so he says, where do you find a VA? That's
a good question. So my first VA, I actually found through a referral. A friend told me, hey, you got to use this guy. He's very great. His English is awesome. He's very punctual, because I had been hesitant for so long to go on Upwork and make a job post. And there's different sites like that. And I actually found my personal assistant who has blown me away. I kind of did the whole quick thing, like find a VA, just pick somebody and go with it. Don't interview for 2 days and then have 20 people, and because it'll never get done. So my personal assistant I found on upwork.com. And I just posted a job description. I looked at some profiles, invited a few people, and I just said, hey, I'll go with her. Worst case scenario, I pay her for 3 or 4 hours of time. And if it's not working out, I'll find someone else. But she's gone above and beyond. And I'm just like, head over heels for how amazing she is, because she's taken on more. And she even suggests things that I can give to her to take off my plate that I didn't even think of. So upwork.com is where I recommend checking out.
Awesome. You're going to have people messaging you asking for her number.
That's fine.
I have an amazing one as well in the Philippines, Irene, and she's amazing, and she has a team as well. So if you guys are looking, get in touch with me, get in touch with Chris. We can probably help you out. Otherwise, just go to Upwork, create your job, and maybe you can suss out like 3 people. But I agree with Chris. Don't procrastinate, by the pursuit of perfection, trying to find the perfect VA and never do it. Chris and I are all about action, and he's all about doing. So that's amazing. Thank you, Tracy. Tracy says, dictate, delegate, disappear. She calls it the 3 Ds.
Powerful. I love that. And that's actually, I saw a chart the other day. I forget which book this was from. I'm reading a couple different books at the same time. Kind of like you switch Netflix shows, you've seen enough of one, you watch another. And it talked about, hey, is this low priority? And does it excite me? Then you can delegate it or maybe delete it, I think was the word that it used. And then if it really excites you, you love to do it, but maybe it's not a super high priority, you can delay it or do it later. It doesn't have to be done right away. So I really love the 3 Ds that she just mentioned. That kind of reminded me of that other chart that I had seen recently.
Nice. All right. So we're going to do a little bit of accountability here. For those of you watching live or later, please go ahead and comment on one thing that you're going to delegate to somebody else. It might be, Wednesday night cooking, or it might be finally someone to create your images on Canva or whatever. Go ahead. If you want to up your brave and share with us, comment on one thing that you're going to delegate to someone else. All right, Chris, let's go to your next.
Awesome. So my next hack is to batch tasks that you can outsource. So I'm learning to outsource as much as possible. Even, I'm ordering meals in from Freshly, or I go to a place like Snap Kitchen. I don't want to have to do anything that I don't want to do. Cook, clean, meal prep. Like I don't want to have to do anything. It's amazing. The lazier you can be, the more efficient you can be. And it sounds counterproductive, but you actually get way more done. And then the work that I do, I love to do. But sometimes there's those tasks that you can't really outsource. Maybe you could outsource this actually now, laundry and dry cleaning. You can get delivery to pick up and do your laundry for you, but I still occasionally go and drop it off at the cleaners nearby. And so if I have a friend who wants to hang out and I've got to drop off some dry cleaning or something, instead of going there and coming back and then hanging out with my friend and coming back, I try to align things so they're back to back, and I'm not making zigzag trips across town. I'm being as efficient as possible. And a good website that I found for optimizing your route specifically if you're driving, and I'm not sure if they have a great global map, but this does work for me in the United States. It's called routexl.com. That's just ROUTEXL.com. And I believe it's free up to 20 addresses. You can put in all the addresses on your route. This also works for me in real estate when I need to go see 10 houses or, go on a showing tour with a client. I don't want to go all the way there and then all the way here and then up north and then down south. I want it to be optimal so that it's the minimal mileage in between each point on my destination. So batch tasks that you can outsource.
That is so good. We've got Justin saying for transcripts, he's just found Descript, which has been a game changer, 90% accurate, and gave instantly removed the and the filler words for the audio video. So sometimes it's a matter of finding the tech to make your life easier. And, you know, one of the things I noticed from you, Chris, partly because you talked about getting a therapist that you can talk to, and partly because you talked about doing voice memos, is you're probably an expressive, you know, in terms of your personality type and things like that. And not only that, obviously you're a podcaster. So you like to talk and you love to interview people just like me and draw out the knowledge and the information. And so for people that are expressives, finding like getting in your zone of genius where you get to do what you love all the time, which is talk to people or, you know, use your voice and then outsource the other stuff, you know, the writing or the designing or whatever to other people. So smart.
Absolutely. Awesome.
All right. So let's go to I think we might be on number 5. Let's take us to number 5.
Yeah, we're on number 5. So number 5 is to work in time chunks to maintain focus. And many people in the audience, you may have heard of the Pomodoro technique. You can work in 25-minute time chunks, and then you set a timer. When the timer goes off, you take a 5-minute rest, and then you repeat it. And then if you do maybe 4 Pomodoro sessions, you're very productive in that time, and you can take a longer break. Of course, find whatever interval works for you, but I find that I have to do that. I've got to set a timer, put my phone on Do Not Disturb or silent, because especially in real estate or sales, if you're in that business, it's very interruptive for people to call you. And my voicemail tells people to leave me a text. And it's so amazing to see when they don't even leave me a message, they just text me. And that way I can get back to them on my own time. But when I'm working on something, I don't let things interrupt me. I have the friends who literally, oh, Chris, I'm going to call you back. Someone's calling me. I'm like, you shouldn't do that. Respect the time that you're dedicating to the task at hand, and you'll be so much more productive. Same thing with this conversation. My phone's face down. I'm not sure who's calling me. The world could be ending, but I'll check that message in another 10 minutes, right? After our call. And that's how you get so much more done, and you can be clear and focused, and you don't have your flow interrupted constantly.
So is this the new you? Because you alluded earlier to the fact that you used to shiny object syndrome. Is this like, you sound so disciplined now? So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I do attribute a lot of my discipline to a morning routine, which if anyone's read The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, yeah, that changed the game for me, because it started off, I'm almost to 3 years of daily journaling. I looked at it, and I think on the 10th of this month, 10th of September is when I'll have 3 years in a row. And what I do right now, I check my daily journal and I look at the year before. And I want to be able to look 2 years ago and see, what did I do today 2 years ago? It's almost like Facebook memories, but what I was actually writing. And that way I can just grow. But when I read The Miracle Morning, I kind of did it on the weekdays. I didn't really do it on the weekends. And now I haven't kept track of it, but I haven't missed a single day since I think last year. Yeah, I haven't missed a single day. And even on vacations, on a plane, I've done my journal and my meditation, you know, on a plane at a 6 a.m. flight somewhere. And that's really helped me just no matter what. Even on weekends, I wake up a little earlier than everybody else if we're on a trip, or than my family or my friends. And I at least do 30 minutes if it's really short, or an hour of my routine. And that's what's helped me schedule. I time block everything. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. I live by that. A friend tells me he wants to get coffee, or someone tells me they want to do a Zoom call, I send a Calendly link. If you're not on my calendar, we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy. And I even joke with my mom. My mom will be talking a lot. I'm like, Mom, you didn't book a time, but you know, you're my mom, so I'll give you a little bit of a benefit of the doubt, right?
Well, that's another thing. Putting buffer in your calendar is also part of it, because sometimes things do run over. I want to chime in on the batching side of things. So something that's worked for me quite well that I only instigated this year is I used to do it in the past, but I kind of fell off the wagon. I've come back to it. Theme days. So theme days.
I love that.
So I have Me Monday. So on Me Monday, I'm working on my business. Like, I'm not doing stuff for my clients. So I help people to get on TV and radio and podcasts, and, you know, I help them with their visibility. But on Mondays, I'm working on my business. So I'm looking at anything that I need to do for my business, which is hard to, you know, really delegate. But also, if I want to get my hair cut, if I want to go for a really long walk, I'll make Mondays about me. And so and I also love it because it's starting the week off with a really nice energy and a really nice vibe. I used to do mentoring calls on Monday for the girls on my doTERRA team, but I just found that I was like talking all day on Monday. I love talking, but if I start the week off with me and my focus on me and my business, then I can serve everybody else better throughout the rest of the week. So that's my tip on Monday. I also do Wellness Wednesdays is what I aim to do, is focus on the wellness side of my business. I do a mentoring call. Now I'm doing this program called Discover where I'm a mentor. And so Wednesday, anything wellness that comes in, I'm like, boom, Wednesday is Wellness Wednesday. And that way it just helps me to make sure I can get all the things done.
I love that idea. And I fall prey to, I have clients that call me and I know they like to talk a lot and I can never get them off the phone about, a house that we're trying to sell or a problem that we're trying to overcome. And sometimes I send them to voicemail if I'm focused on something. I see it ring and my girlfriend will be like, you didn't even answer the phone for your friend. That's your friend. And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing something right now. I'll call him back in 20 minutes. I'm that hardcore about it. I did call one of my friends back once because he's like, call me 911, like emergency. And I was like, what is it? It wasn't even that big of a deal. I'm like, this could have waited 30 minutes, but okay, since you're one of my good friends. But another thing for those, this is like a bonus tip that I've recently discovered. I use Calendly, and you can build a system around your time. Before I was giving a Calendly link out for people to book my time for consultation calls or podcast interviews. And like you said, it was kind of draining because I'm like, oh, they just booked for 10 a.m. tomorrow. I was going to go to the gym and like now I have to change my schedule. And now I've got rules in place where it's got to be between 2 to 6 p.m. on weekdays, nothing on Sundays. So I'm building my schedule. Anytime I send that link out, they can't book at a time that I wouldn't want them to book anyway. And so that's really cleared me up so much and helped my sanity 10 times over.
I love that you mentioned that. So it's coming back to going, well, when do I want to make myself available?
Right.
It's my lifestyle. So I'm so ironic you just mentioned it. I use Harmonizely. I just went in and I realized, oh my gosh, people can book me at like 9 a.m. on a Thursday. Well, I have a fitness class that I only go to once a week, but I really want to actually go twice a week. And the reason I'm not going is because I'm allowing people to book me. So it's just so simple.
Exactly.
I change the time to they can't book me till 10 o'clock. Then I know, okay, I can, if I want to, I can go to this fitness class twice a week. I can move towards my fitness goals rather than being like, oh, someone's booked me. Now, the other thing I also did, because I'm connecting a lot with more Canadians, I'm originally from Canada, and Americans who have a time zone difference, I did make a few 8 a.m.s available. And normally I don't start work till 10. Like I literally don't, I want to be able to walk the dog and take the kids to school. But that's an empowered choice going, well, I actually do want to foster these connections with people in Canada and America. And I know that 8 a.m. is good for them, but I'll only make 2 8 a.m.s available, and definitely not on a Sunday. So it's just coming back to yourself and going, what is okay for me? What works for me? And then tell them what to do and make it easy. Give them a calendar link. Love it.
Absolutely. And you can even limit it, like you said, because now I've got great topic for our times. Yes. Thank you, Pat, for that
Pat
comment.
In Australia.
Yes, because everything is going Zoom. And I think we talked about this yesterday, Natalie. I'm like zoomed out. I'm like, hey, at the end of the day, I've been on Zoom calls all day. People are like, what did you do all day? You just talked. My girlfriend worked from home a couple of times because there was a hurricane that was kind of coming close to Houston. Luckily, it missed us, but she worked from home that day. And she's like, you've just been talking on Zoom and on the phone all day. And I'm like, that's kind of my job now. And, the way the world's gone. So you have to, like you said, protect your time. And even now I'm almost getting too many interviews booked where I probably should limit it to 2 or 3 a week. So I'm not doing 10 in a week and then burning myself out. So take a step back. It's so easy to get busy. What I did, I took a step back and said, what would my optimal schedule look like? Okay, I want to have conversations from 2 to 6 p.m. for buyers or sellers, since that's my primary income generator. I'm willing to go until 8 p.m. because I know they get off work and they want to talk about buying their first home or whatever. And so I'm open to that. But for podcasts, for example, I don't go all the way to 8 p.m. and I don't do 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning. So I can build my life around a schedule that I actually want to enjoy. But in the essence of time, I know we're kind of right there on the 30-minute deadline. I don't know
You're like, I got to go. I've got a call.
No, I added a buffer. So I have nothing after this, which is great.
Very good planning. I love that. In a previous episode, you guys might have heard me talk about this. You are the CEO of your own life and your own
Yes.
pie. And what I do is I get people to draw a circle, draw a circle on a piece of paper and map out what is your ideal, either your life or your business life, however you want to do it, look like, and how are you actually spending your time? How big are the pieces of the pie? Because it's really up to us to make that plan and then to guard it with our lives and to make it fit right in. Thank you so much, Pat, for your comments. She is in Australia. She just revisited her perfect week and mapped it out. That's what we're talking about, people.
That's awesome. Also do that with your perfect day. Like if you can envision it, what would my perfect day look like? What does my view look like? What am I drinking? What kind of coffee? I got very specific. I wrote a full page of my perfect day, and I'm working my best to make that every day. You can't have a perfect day every day, but if you try, you're going to have a better day than if you just wake up and run out of the door and kind of react to everything in your life.
Totally. I think you've commented on so many key things that you've done to help you in your journey. You've talked about the miracle morning. Yep. You talked about the 4-hour work week. You talked about your perfect day. All of these are activities, you guys, that you guys can do too. Whether you're in business or you've got a job or you're at home with the kids, it's like, let's come back to what is your perfect day. And if you have no idea, maybe it's time to revisit that. And I love how, Chris, you filled a whole piece of paper. Whenever people ask me about my perfect day, it always includes going to the beach. Like I'm always at the beach.
Yes. The beach or the mountains. I know we're torn between them. My girlfriend and I were like, I'd like to live at the beach, but maybe the mountains. We really love the Colorado trip. So we're like, why don't we just move there? What's stopping us?
Exactly. What is stopping you? Yeah. Well, hey, thank you so much, Chris. That's so amazing. Before we wrap up, my final questions to you. Mm-hmm. What's cool about you? What's coming up? And how can we connect with you online?
Yeah. So one thing that's cool about me and one thing that really is a testament to the fact that I like to up my brave and live my purpose and just do things that scare me. I'm both skydive and scuba certified, and I've been terrified doing both, and I've still done them, repeatedly. And I've had parachute malfunction in the sky, and I freaked out, and I had to decide whether to cut away and deploy the reserve or continue on. And luckily I'm still here. Everything worked out, but I've still done it again and again because it's been fun to do things that other people were like, I'll never do that. I like to be able to say, I've done it and I'll do it again. And I've conquered that fear. So that's something that's cool about me. And you said something that I'm up to, or something
that's coming up for you, maybe in life or business.
Yeah. So something that's been coming up for me in life or business, I'm having a lot of great conversations and podcast interviews with guests such as yourself. I've connected with others like Dean Graziosi and Billie Jean is Marketing. So I've started to get a lot more people on the show because I get so much value out of these conversations. I almost learn more from having these conversations than just listening to other podcasts, because why not be the person asking the questions, right?
You can ask anything you like. Exactly.
Exactly. It can be specific to my own business so I can selfishly learn and tap into other people's amazing insights. And then to connect with me, you can definitely check out my podcast. If you look up Chris Bello or Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast, I'm somehow growing my podcast very fast. I guess my numbers kind of impress people in podcast groups right now. And I didn't even know. I had the lowest numbers of downloads for the longest time. And maybe just the SEO started working in my favor, but it's been very cool to see the growth. And you can also go to Chris Bello 09 on Instagram. That's my most active platform right now.
Yay. Love Instagram. Have you embraced the Reels yet? Are you doing Reels?
The Reels, I have not done the Reels yet. I think that's supposed to, it's kind of like a TikTok almost, right? I have not embraced the Reels yet, but I am very active on Instagram. I did an IGTV live the other day. So I'm starting to do the live videos. Oh. And you can also download my free guide on productivity hacks. If you go to chrisbello.com/free, it's just what we covered today, but a little more detail, nice pictures and stuff like that.
Awesome. You guys, I'm pretty sure that information is in the link, which is possibly above, but I'll put it in the comments as well.
Somewhere.
Yeah, Chris, I mean, it's so exciting to connect with you. I've got a couple of people in mind. I'm such a connector. I've got a couple of people in mind I would love to connect you with for possible, podcast swaps and things like that as well.
Absolutely. I would really appreciate that. And you really are the connector. I can already see that. You're very excited and willing to connect people. And I think that's a very important trait to have, because anytime I talk with that person, I will think of you because you made the introduction.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I was on a parenting summit this morning up early, and a few of the ladies on the summit, there were about 4 of them that I had, connected, and he was so grateful to me for
Right.
connecting with them because they're so amazing. They're very niche in the differences. They're all parenting, but very niche in what they have to offer, and that really makes me happy. So
That's
thank you
awesome.
so much, Chris, for joining us today.
Thank you, Natalie. It's been a pleasure.
Amazing. I'll put those links up for you guys. And if you're watching, definitely check out, I don't know if you've heard of my latest new thing. I am a woman with ideas, and I'm definitely an action taker. I launched Thank You Club a couple of weeks ago, and this is designed to give people the opportunity to give and gain thank you commission in exchange for making like genuine connections. We're in this interesting new economy at the moment where I was like, everyone should have a multiple forms of revenue, like different forms of money coming in. Don't have all your eggs in one basket. If that intrigues you and you want to learn more, you can check it out. It's upyourbrave.com/thank you. You can check out Thank You Club and join that. And well, thank you, Chris, for joining us today.
Thank you once again. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time. And until then, remember to up your brave, say what you want, and make it happen. We'll see you later.
See ya.